It's a 34-mile of road through the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. My traveling companion all this week is the New England Aquarium's Paul Erickson.
Now, where I grew up, they said Kancamagus, which isn't correct. Now, make sure I get this right, but the proper pronunciation is Kancamagus, and that name comes from a Native American Indian.
That's right. We want to get our facts straight. In our first story tonight, we find out that many celebrities are sick and tired of having the facts about their lives twisted in the tabloids. They found a way to stay one step ahead of the game. Evening Sam Rubin has this story. American Indians used it as a pathway, and it was named for an Indian, Kancamagus, which means the fearless one.
Now, the two-lane paved version of that highway was completed in 1959,
right,
intended to join the towns of Lincoln and Conway, New Hampshire.
Coming up next, we'll see how the Limmer family of Mount Washington, New Hampshire has been handcrafting hiking boots for 5 generations. And later on, former Cleveland running back
you stop along the Kancamagus Highway, you see a picture postcard view. My friend Paul Erickson was telling me that the fall color we see is actually an accident of nature as trees prepare for winter.
Yeah, it's all part of the process of getting ready for winter. A tree couldn't afford to keep its leaves during winter. It would lose too much water through those leaves during winter's desert-like conditions, and it would risk having limbs broken off by the weight of the ice and snow. So the important thing is for a tree to lose those leaves.
I see. Well, if you stop along the Kancamagus Highway and you want to see the beautiful leaves, get out and hike through the woods. Beautiful trails around here. Right now we have a story about a family in New Hampshire that happens to make hiking boots. They've been doing it for 4 generations.
That's a tradition that we've carried on. We feel very proud of our name. My folks worked hard, very hard-working people to build this reputation up, and they handed it to us. And our son and our nephew here are doing the same thing. They're doing very good work. They're following the tradition.
Obviously, there just aren't many of us around. As far as I know, in the whole country, there's only 2 other firms that do hiking boots, custom-made.
My son and my nephew are the 4th generation shoemakers in the family. And my father came over here in 1925. The word got around that there's a man that knows how to make a good hiking boot, and then we just kept making them.
Most people, by the time they've come to us, they've run through all of the production boots and haven't found either an adequate fit or they just haven't performed the way that they wanted them to.
Set your foot right on that paper, please. And push down a bit on the foot. That's the way.
Well, these additions are what is required for us to do to actually match the shape of this form, which we call a last, to the outline of the person's foot.
And if that isn't pulled down real tight, if there's any slack in there, the boot is not going to fit simply because the leather isn't laying onto the wooden form itself.
In times past, when various print media got in touch with us and did an article on us, it was a situation where we just got inundated with work, and it, believe it or not, ended up being like too much of a good thing. Well, right now, we're running about a 12 to 14-month backlog. It does fluctuate. We don't have a large production capacity here, and a year's worth of work is by no means counted in terms of thousands of pairs made.
You know, everybody has a trip planned It's kind of hindsight on their part as far as wanting the product. Pretty much all that we can tell them, anything that's good is worth waiting for.
Well, lots of times they try to be real tactful about it, and they'll ask if there's any way they can pay a premium in order to get consideration on the backlog.
We don't take any sort of bribe or anything like that to speed things up, no matter who they are.
The advantages of doing it this way is we know we'll always have a job. The disadvantages is that we're always going to have to work for our income. We're never going to be sitting back and signing the checks and letting somebody else do the work.
This business, although we're not getting to be what you'd call wealthy, there's a tremendous satisfaction out of seeing the satisfaction that our customers get from wearing our boots. They send us postcards from all over the world where they're on trips wearing our boots, and it's nice to think that they remember you, you know.
Grandfather Limmer opened up his first store in Jamaica Plain in Boston back in 1930. 20 years later, he moved his craft and his family to a place where people used his boots on a regular basis. He's also credited as being the first downhill ski boot maker in the United States.
Up